Hello YouTube, welcome to my speedrunning guide for the tomb. In this video, I'll cover all the tricks, tips, and safety strats to speedrun the map. The tomb is quite difficult when you try to do it quickly, so I'll do my best to explain everything thoroughly so it's easy to understand. Before hopping in the game, I'll showcase my loadout and all of the augments that I use. You'll want to start with a C4 and a decoy. Both of these will be used extensively in the run, so starting with them saves a lot of salvage. For my field upgrade, I start with Dark Flare. This is only used once to clear around 5 or 6 zombies, but it's amazing at doing so after the latest buff that Treyarch did. You can use any melee weapon you want, and the primary weapon will be the ASG. The most important thing about the ASG is to make sure you have Dragon's Breath. This is where most of the damage will come from in the early rounds, and it makes clearing rounds much quicker. It's also important that you don't use the suppressor. The last time I checked, Dragon's Breath was bugged with the suppressor, and it made it so you didn't actually get more salvage for using it. For this reason, I used the modified choke, so you have a tighter ADS spread, so it's easier to hit long-range shots, as well as when shooting against the artifact. I also use the crossbow underbarrel because it's good for shooting free power-ups that are around the map. I mainly use it to hit the free nuke, but you could use it for other power-ups as well if you wanted to. Extended Mag 2 is a must for general use as well as the boss fight. And my last 3 attachments are Commando Grip, Infiltrator Stock, and Target Laser to give me better ADS capabilities. I like not using the hit fire spread attachments because hitting more zombies with one shot means more Dragon's Breath procs and more damage all around. Now moving on to the augments. I only use 3 perks in the run because money is very scarce. For Jug, I have Probiotic and Hardened Plates, and these are a must if you never upgrade your armor because otherwise every artifact zombie will one-shot you in the boss fight. For speed, I use Classic Formula and Quick Swap. Quick Swap is mostly preference, but I would highly recommend Classic Formula. For PhD, I have PhD Slider and Tribologist, and these 2 are basically a staple of every speedrun. I use 2 ammo mods in the run, Deadwire and the free Cryo Freeze you get from the free Pack-a-Punch Easter egg. For Deadwire, I use Chain Lightning and High Voltage. You'll almost never need to use Deadwire for actually proccing it. It's just helpful to have extra damage against the amalgams. For this reason, I would avoid Lightning Strike because you don't want to stun enemies far away from you during statue lockdowns. For Cryo Freeze, I have Frozen Stiff and Liquid Nitrogen. Frozen Stiff is amazing for holding back the Doppelgasts and Mimics during the Constellation lockdowns. I use 5 field upgrades in this run, which is really cool because it's fun to have so much versatility here with the field upgrades swapping between them all the time. With Energy Mine, I use Turret and Extra Charge. Turret is extremely helpful for killing zombies during the Ice Staff lockdown, and having 2 of them just makes that even easier. For Frenzied Guard, I have Frenzy Fire and Extension. These are essential because it makes destroying 2 artifacts in one wave of the boss fight much easier. For Tesla Storm, I use Static Discharge and Overclocked. The only important one here is Overclocked because I just use it for movement speed at one point in the run. For Dark Flare, I use Extension and Broad Beam to get as much killing power out of it as possible. And for Ether Shroud, I have Group Shroud and Extra Charge. You only really need Extra Charge. I just have Group Shroud on because I don't want to accidentally burst dash somewhere that I don't want to go. Now, hopping into the game, I played the first 3 rounds in Spawn. You can check out my zombie spawn guide if you haven't already to see how to play the early rounds quickly. Make sure as the rounds go by to pick up any nearby scrap or extra equipment if it drops, but don't go too far out of your way or else you'll lose time on the zombie spawns. At the end of round 3, I make my way into the Death Perception room. It's important to take note of how many headshots you have here, if any. If you haven't gotten any, then you'll need to melee or headshot 1 zombie this round in order to afford the next door. And you need to prone in front of the Death Perception perk for the extra 100 points. At the end of round 4, I make my way into the Stamina room. On a zombie round, I get the free full power to get my charge on Dark Flare. Once enough zombies have piled up, I use the Dark Flare to clear the entire round. If you have around 6 zombies, It's pretty common that you have a few zombies left over at the end of the round, which is fine. You can just clear them up with the ASG at the end. On a vermin round, you'll get 4 vermin spawning from each spawn point. With round 6, I like to kill the first few that spawn above stamina, shoot once or twice in the window, and then go activate the portals and finish the round on your way back. Otherwise, if you have round 5, I just kill everything immediately and prepare for the next zombie round. Once you've activated the portals, make your way back to the stamina room to shoot the lantern at depth perception. The lanterns themselves are pretty simple. There are 3 possible spawn locations on each side, and each lantern will always move to the same spot after you shoot it. For depth perception, the order goes like this. And for Deadshot, the order is like this. I play for a perfect lantern at depth perception, and a perfect or second best lantern at Deadshot. And you can play worse lanterns, it's just harder and you'll lose time. Once you've shot the depth perception lantern, travel through the stamina portal into the dark ether. And that would be a good time to swap your field upgrade to energy mine if you haven't already. Once in the dark ether, shoot the 5 floating rocks to do the free pack-a-punch Easter egg. Also shoot any spores on your way to get the free 50 salvage. After picking up Pack-a-Punch and Crowd Freeze, I play the round at the spawn portal, get the free bonus points for money, and teleport once the round is over. Once in spawn, I upgrade my ASG to green rarity, and then I check the lantern by Deadshot. If you get the second best lantern, you can shoot it and throw a C4 onto the next lantern to blow it up later. Each lantern takes 45 seconds to respawn, so keep that in mind for when you should detonate it. And now you can just focus on ending the round, killing the Mimic to get the monocle, and buying PhD when you get the money. Now you should be on round 9, and you can start focusing the constellation lockdowns to get the ice staff parts. Ideally, you want to end round 9 while doing the first lockdown. You can do this by stepping out of the lockdown so round zombies start spawning, but don't stay outside for too long, otherwise the lockdown will restart when you go in it, and any zombies currently inside will despawn. Also, be careful of your ammo consumption, especially during the first lockdown. If you spam too many shots, then you might need to buy ammo again, which, as I said before, money is scarce, so needing to buy ammo is not ideal. If you weren't able to end round 9 when the lockdown ends, I like ending it by the arsenal station and spawn. For round 10, if you have a vermin round, I would start the second lockdown immediately, and then you can end the round during the lockdown. If you get round 10 zombies, I like to shoot the nuke outside of the map, and put a few symbols on the wall, and then hit the nuke after killing some zombies to either end the round or only have a few left. And this is important because if you get round 10 zombies, that guarantees that you're getting round 12 vermin, and vermin rounds stop you from progressing the statues, so you want to end your second vermin round before you get to that point in the run. Regardless of which vermin round you get, you should be on round 11 when you go to start the ice staff lockdown. The ice staff defense itself is really annoying because it's all RNG. Once you start it, place down all the energy mines and shoot the waterfalls with your cryo ASG to get a purple ether tool. Do note that it has to be round 11 for the ether tool to be purple, which is why pushing the round earlier is very important. You'll also want to craft any C4s or decoys you can until you have at least 2 of each. If you're low on salvage, I would focus the C4 because that's more important for later. And before you start focusing killing the zombies for the lockdown, place the C4 next to the free double points like such. You'll use this for later when you have an opportunity to build points for double Pack-a-Punch and Speed Cola. Now that you've done all the setup, you can just kill the zombies through the lockdown, and make sure to buy a jug at some point. There are 3 waves to this, and each wave has a sound cue playing when it ends. During each wave, you need to kill a certain amount of purple glowing zombies before it progresses. In solo, you need to kill 4, but this number does increase with more players. So this means in total, you have to kill 12 purple glowing zombies to complete it. And unfortunately, it's completely random when and where the purple zombies will spawn. So the defense could take 30 seconds, or it could take up to 2 minutes. Once you grab the ice staff, head to the red portal to freeze the lanterns. At this point, I like swapping my field upgrade to Tesla Storm. Once you get out of the portal, you'll want to go left to stamina, because you want to keep the speed cola door closed. And this is because in most runs you won't have money to buy the door. After freezing all 3 lanterns, make sure to reload before taking the portal back, so you don't have to reload again when you're shooting the rocks. And if you weren't aware, the rocks always have the same symbols on them. This means that you can memorize which symbol corresponds to each rock, and not even have to look at what the symbol is. You can use this image as a map if you don't already have one, and it's also pinned in my Discord if you want the file for yourself. Once you shoot all 3 of the rocks, this is another big RNG checkpoint of the map. Having the red portal closed is the best because it's the fastest to get to, but green and blue are also fine. The one thing you don't want to happen is for the yellow portal to close, and this is because if you use the route that I do in this video, the yellow portal will be the one you just used to get inside of the Dark Ether, and the portals have a cooldown which is quite long, and unfortunately it doesn't get reset during the Easter egg step, so if you get the yellow portal closed, you have to wait a long time before you can use it again. Also, if you have round 12 vermin, you'll need to end round 11 before you leave the Dark Ether. To make sure the vermin round ends in this scenario, you'll need to kill around 8 to 12 vermin before you enter the portal to start the upgrade step, and the rest of the vermin should spawn in the upgrade step with you. The staff upgrade itself is pretty simple. All you have to do is stay near the orb and it'll complete. You don't have to kill zombies to progress it, which is why I like to keep the amalgam alive at the end, so I don't have to use all of my ASG ammo trying to kill him. Now once you get the upgraded staff, you can start completing the statues. Before you start the vermin statue, make sure to get dead wire for the ASG to do the generator Easter egg. And while you start the statue, blow up the C4 to get a free double points. A lot of the vermin from this lockdown will give you full round points, so you can build up a lot of money here. As well as the free points from the generator, which will give you an extra 2k on the double. Once the statue is filled, I use Tesla Storm for the extra movement speed, and then go through Stamina Portal to get the next statue. I also swap my field upgrade to Frenzy Guard during this travel, and it's important you do this now, because if you swap it later, you might not get a full charge for the boss fight. The Parasite statue is probably the most annoying one. I'll explain how I think it works, but I'm not 100% sure. For solo, you need to get 10 orbs from the parasites, and then put them in the statue. Some parasites will be purple, and some will be yellow. I think the yellow ones have a chance to drop an orb, while the purple parasites will always drop an orb. Also, no parasite will drop an orb if you're already holding one, or if one has been on the ground for more than like a second. So what I like to do is, after I put an orb in the statue, I kill any purple parasites I see, and that should guarantee that you get orbs. Also, after the first 2 or 3 orbs are collected, you can use decoys here to gather the parasites at the statue so you can collect them faster. If you have any extra salvage, you can also craft a decoy here before you start killing them. On your way to the portal, make sure to shoot the max ammo with the ice staff so you can get more charges on Sekhmet's Vigor. The Doppelgast statue is extremely simple. You just need to kill 6 of them as fast as you can with the ice staff. There does seem to be some RNG for how quickly they spawn after you kill one. This shouldn't make a huge difference, but it can be the difference between a few seconds saved or a few seconds lost. When you're taking the essence back to the Dark Ether, make sure to double Pack-a-Punch your ASG. If you don't have the money to do so yet, I would try to farm some kills here, because there's not really a better time to do it. For the Amalgam statue, I shoot 2 charge shots with the Ice Staff, and then I swap to my ASG to finish off the Amalgam. You will get some of the armored zombies to spawn and shield the Amalgam, but sometimes they can spawn in the Ice Staff shots and they can die immediately. And then after you kill the Amalgam, throw a C4 onto the free insta-kill to use later in the boss fight. The throw here is pretty lenient, but I found whenever I missed the insta-kill, I usually don't throw the C4 far enough. So just make sure you throw it with some momentum behind you. If you have any extra salvage before you go into the boss fight, I would craft some decoys here. The boss fight itself can be split into 2 halves. The first half is destroying the first 4 artifacts, and the bare minimum upgrades you need for this are a tier 2 Pack-a-Punch and a purple rarity on the ASG. If you didn't know, you can cancel the recharge time after shooting a charge shot of the Ice Staff by reloading, and then canceling the reload by swapping off and then swapping back to it. The reload cancels the recharge animation, and then swapping weapons cancels the reload animation. This will make the boss a lot easier because you can have multiple blizzards out at the same time, dealing a lot of damage. During the downtime that the artifact is spinning, make sure to shoot charged Ice Staff shots down to kill zombies and charge your field upgrade. And just before the artifact becomes vulnerable, shoot a charge shot down to protect yourself while you shoot it. It should take roughly 1 mag of the ASG to finish it if you don't miss any shots. On the second wave, use Frenzied Guard to get the stock option effect to finish 2 artifacts in 1. You can do this without Frenzied, but it's extremely difficult and you have to hit almost every shot perfectly. Also, once you finish this wave, make sure to swap to Ether Shroud so you can have one later in the fight. On the third wave, I shoot the artifact that would spawn the Amalgam so that it doesn't spawn and you don't have to deal with him after. Once you've got all 4 artifacts down, this will start the second half of the fight with the artifact zombies. For the armored zombie, I start shooting charge shots shortly after the artifact starts moving to spawn it. After the 3rd shot, I pick up the max to instantly reload the staff, and after the 4th shot, I do 1 or 2 tap shots depending on how low the zombie is, and then finish off the artifact with the ASG. Immediately after the artifact breaks, reload the ASG, get 1 charge shot down before you reload, and then I move over here to play the Doppel. Before it spawns, I start shooting 3 charge shots just like with the armored zombie. And once the Doppel is close and the lasers have started to rise to the 2nd level, I move to the middle and start shooting some more charge shots. Depending on how the Doppel paths, you might need to shoot 2 to 3 charge shots to get him low enough. Also, make sure that the armored zombie is getting hit by the blizzard, otherwise he could easily hit you and just kill you. Now comes the hard part, which is killing the Mimic and the Amalgam quickly back to back. So immediately after I kill the Doppel, I reload both of my guns, blow up my C4 to spawn the insta-kill. Don't pick up the insta yet, because you want to use the insta-kill for the Mimic and the Amalgam, so you need as much time as possible. Before the Mimic spawns, I shoot 2 charge shots. Then, once it's fully spawned in, I pick up the insta-kill and shoot 2 to 3 tap shots, which should melt him and kill him very quickly. Then I swap to the ASG, use Ether Shroud, and then destroy the artifact safely, so the Doppel doesn't kill me. The Doppel that spawns should still be alive, which is what you want, because that means it won't spawn for the next wave. So I start shooting some shots in the middle to kill the Doppel, and then have some shots down for when the Amalgam eventually spawns. You should be able to stand by the armored zombie spawn, and then DPS the Mimic and the Amalgam before they get to you and kill you. It's pretty difficult to do this quickly, and it took me a lot of practice to get it consistently without dying. So don't get too discouraged if you die a lot trying this. Just keep practicing and eventually you'll get it down. For the final DPS phase, I use the staff before the artifact becomes vulnerable, and then use the ASG. After at my first reload, I use a decoy if I have one. If you don't, you might need to use the staff again. If you do have a decoy, that should be enough to DPS the rest of the artifact without much trouble. And with that, that covers the boss fight. There is a lot of luck you need in this run, especially for a Black Ops 6 map. So if you're just trying to get a time you're happy with, I would recommend you play even if you don't get the perfect RNG. In my sessions, I can easily go hours without getting a playable game, which is very tiring and requires a lot of patience, and honestly, it's kind of boring sometimes. As always, any questions or comments you have, I'll do my best to answer. And thank you for watching. Happy speedrunning.